Well, they're getting ready to tee it up at the Travelers Championship. The tournament doesn't officially start until tomorrow, but the fun is already underway.
What a day out there today. A lot of familiar faces on the golf course in the sunshine. Sports Edge's John Pearson live in Cromwell tonight with a look at this Celebrity Pro-Am. John?
Hello there, guys. Yeah, this is my favorite day of the week when you get pros and celebrities getting together to play some golf. And as I found out today, you can make them do just about anything for a good cause.
We interrupt our daily programming to bring you this News 8 special message.
You want fun, all in the name of charity?
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Today is the day at the Travelers Championship.
Parla italiano, italiano.
Sì,
Italiano.
Un poco, vicino un poco. Un poco spagnolo, un poco italiano, poco italiano, poco español.
Appealing to the crowd in any language, not a problem for the threesome of Gino Auriemma, George Lopez, and singer Javier Colon.
And the moon hits your eye.
Like a big pizza pie.
That's amore.
Amore. Amore. Amore.
George, that's much better than you. Stepping out of their comfort zone to play golf is part of Celebrity Pro-Am Day. We did our best to make guys like Ray Allen feel at ease on the course.
Can you just jump shoot a golf ball for me?
Yeah. Still got it.
That's pretty good.
It went in, too.
You're not the all-time three-point leader for nothing. Patriots kicker Steven Gostkowski is familiar with hitting threes, too. ESPN's Chris Berman, his playing partner, provides the call.
I want to know if you will actually kick a ball off a tee for me.
I will. Well, maybe not a golf ball.
Give it a shot.
I'll give it a try.
Steven Gostkowski, this will be a tough one. Ball a little smaller than usual. It's on a tee, which he's used to. And there it goes. Oh my God, it's back. Good, right down the middle. Steven, he can kick anything through the uprights.
Former Patriot Andre Tippett, who used to harass quarterbacks, was also part of the group, and he still likes to hit things.
Any chance you want to attack the ball like defensive style, like a Happy Gilmore for me off the tee?
I can try it. Oh, Happy's happy.
Within the hour, the UConn men's basketball team will open up their season at a unique venue. The Huskies are in Germany. Noah Finz is with them now, and he's been there with the team for an eye-opening experience.
Just 2 days ago, this arena was nothing more than an airplane hangar. Now it hosts an historic basketball game, the first regular season college game played outside the United States. It's here at the Ramstein Air Force Base. The Huskies getting ready to play Michigan State. And I think it's safe to say that no matter what happens in this game, the team can consider this trip a success.
UConn on 3, brothers on 6. 1, 2, 3. UConn. 4, 5, 6. Brothers.
There's been preparation for this game. The Huskies have practiced on base, but it's what they've done away from the practice and game floor that will likely have the biggest impact on them. It started the same day they arrived.
Welcome. Thanks for coming, guys. Can't wait for the game.
They were taken to the nearby Landstuhl Regional Medical Center, the largest American Stage 1 trauma center outside the States, to meet with wounded warriors. These are soldiers recently back from the battlefield.
You don't take that for granted, and it really hits home, and it really puts life in perspective when you actually see it, and you're actually able to touch them, you're actually able to see and be a part of their lives too. And it's just a small token what we're doing.
You get to see what they go through every day. We think getting up and going to practice and going to school every day is hard, so seeing that really humbled you.
Before their bodies could adjust to the 6-hour time difference, the players were taken for a ride on one of the Air Force's biggest tools, the C-130.
Oh, this plane looks kind of scary, so we'll see how it goes.
This is an aircraft used for transporting soldiers, tanks. It's big enough to transport just about anything, but it's not exactly first class inside. Some of the guys found it a bit daunting.
He was scared up there. My man was up there scared. I had to look out for him.
And then it was back to the court to give a clinic. All the children on base were invited.
I think all these kids are staying on the base, and they can't really do too much around here. You know, it's an air base. So I think they're having a lot of fun just doing it and, being around us.
The Huskies teamed up with Michigan State to give the youngsters a little basketball coaching and a whole lot of fun. For the past 4 days, the team has stayed here on the base and gotten to see a different kind of life, maybe a dose of reality. I asked assistant coach George Blaney if he and the team were having fun. He said yes, but it's not about that. He said it's about these kids getting a chance to see other people their own age doing something real. We'll have highlights of the game coming up on News 8 at 10 and 11. At the Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany, Noah Finz, News 8. A treat for the troops. UConn, part of the first ever regular season college basketball game outside the country. It was played at the Ramstein Air Force Base. But before the game, the Huskies made a stop at the Landstuhl Regional Medical Center to get a heavy dose of reality.
I just want to tell you how much we appreciate your service.
The players and coaches meeting with wounded soldiers and with the men and women who take care of them at the largest Stage 1 trauma unit outside the country.
Guys like you help save lives.
We never think of it that way, but I guess that's true. But,
Army Staff Sergeant Michael Merritt supervises the radiology department at the hospital.
We're the first line out of Afghanistan or Iraq, and we're kind of the first people they see besides the ER, and we just, we kind of make them feel at home and take care of them as best we can.
Sergeant Merritt grew up in Canton and says he could probably be making more money in the private sector. But he, like the other servicemen and women, have something in common.
Underlying, I say, is patriotism, but I think the fact that all of us share a core of helping others, and then there's no other better, I say, honor to help others than to help your fellow countrymen.
So, how's everything going?
Danbury's Andrea Oliveira said she felt that way when she was in high school watching the terrorist attacks on 9/11.
Seeing all the television, all the reports, we have these young guys on the front lines, sacrificing their life. They have families, they have kids at home, and I'm like, wow, I want to be a part of that.
And so now she's an Army clinical nurse, recently at Walter Reed Hospital and now in Germany. Every day she tends to severely wounded soldiers.
And one last reading.
East Hartford's Tony Hodges says he feels the same way. He's a civilian now after having already served. He's employed at the hospital's ophthalmology ward.
The war wounded where, those are open globes and stuff that we have to repair, and that's probably the hardest part of the job.
Hodges sometimes finds himself as a tech in eye procedures and says there's no financial reward greater than helping our soldiers.
This is my way to give back to the soldiers that came before me and that's going to be after me. It's like being active duty, but it's not, and the reward that we get for helping our war wounded is payment that's beyond what I actually get financially.
Hodges got an even bigger reward when his beloved Huskies came to the base and upset Michigan State. The game was a way the civilian world was able to show its appreciation for the men and women who put serving others ahead of serving their own needs.
Tips up, tips up, tips up, tips up, tips up.
8-year-old Jimmy Galpin loves water skiing, but this is what he sees. Jimmy is blind.
You don't need to see.
Oh, he's proof of that. Jimmy lost his sight when he was 2 to retina cancer. One of his kindergarten teachers suggested he try water skiing. He took right to it.
I had my knees bent and I was like, I can't do this, I can't do this. Got up, I was skiing fine.
He's been skiing here at Leaps of Faith Disabled Skiers ever since.
How was it, Jimmy?
We made a lot of happy people, some big smiles, and it's made it really worthwhile.
Joel Zeisler is a former national champion water skier, and this is his place. His first student was a blind Vietnam vet whom he turned into a world champion. These days, most of his students are youngsters dealing with some sort of hardship.
We put no limits on the type of disability that we can work with and teach.
Say, how fast can that boat go?
How fast can that boat go?
Austin Morgan has cerebral palsy, but out on the water, he forgets about his disability.
Attaboy, good job.
The first time he was really scared, and when he came off the water, I was like, how was it, how was it? He's like, Mom, I felt free. I was like, you felt free? And he's like, yeah. He said, I forgot I was in a wheelchair. It brought tears to my eyes.
As soon as Austin gets out of the water, he can't wait to get back on skis. After all, it gives him something he so rarely gets.
It gives him the independence he doesn't always get to feel. When you're confined to a wheelchair and everybody has to do everything for you, he can't even get a drink by himself. But then he's able to go out on the water with that independence and not have anybody messing with him, and he has that freedom. He loves it.
It's a feeling he and Jimmy Galpin can't get in the sports most of their friends play at school.
Where this, you really don't need your vision. You just need someone who will drive the boat right, give a few commands with the rope, and just let them go.
Oh, sure, he falls every now and then, but it's all part of the experience.
I can do this. This is my thing. You try going out there and close your eyes. It's easy.
And that way of thinking is consistent with Zeisler and his group of volunteers' mantra. That is, if you can do this, you can do so much more in other parts of your life.
High five. Good job.
That was so much fun.
I like to think we do good things.
New Yorkers are proving to be resilient. News 8's investigative reporter George Colley live now in Manhattan. He's been talking to people all day across the city. George, what's the environment like there tonight?
You know, it's unbelievable here tonight. The way that this city responds to events like this, it's happened before, you've seen it before, but every single time it really does, it really does lift the spirits. Now, for those who witness this, it's a very different day. I mean, we spoke to one gal today who really was shaken by this to the core. Here's what she had to say.
All of a sudden, I see a white truck just 60 miles an hour speeding down the bike trail. And then I hear boom, 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 boom. And I look up and there are bike pieces in the air. There are body parts flying. I start calling 911. All I can do is say, oh my God, what is going on? You know, like, you see people dying on the news every day, but what are you supposed to do when it's actually happening in front of you?
Now, as to the latest in the investigation here, I'm on Chamber and Greenwich away from where this rampage ended. Just about a half hour ago, we saw that rented Home Depot truck get carried away by New York Police Department. There have been a lot of investigators, at times in hazmat suits, that were surrounding that van just about a block away. What we know about the investigation is that the police and the law enforcement have a pretty good idea as to what this suspect was doing in the final minutes, which led up to him barreling down these bikers and pedestrians on that pathway, hitting that school bus, jumping out of it, just like I said, a block away, and with two fake guns. What they're trying to reconstruct now is what that man was doing, who he's associating with, who he was talking to in the days, weeks, and months leading up to this attack. They know that he had lived for a short time in Florida between moving his family to New Jersey. Investigators have been scouring his address in Paterson, New Jersey, as well as a Home Depot parking lot, trying to find his car as to where that truck was rented. So you can expect that this investigation, while the traffic is opened up on West Street, and that while there's police are still investigating there, you're now going to see it move on to outside of Lower Manhattan, and exactly what may have motivated this guy to do what he did yesterday here, killing 8 people and injuring more than a dozen. In Lower Manhattan, George Colley reporting, News 8.
Unless you live in southeastern Connecticut, or unless something goes wrong, you may not hear a lot about the Millstone nuclear power plant. It's a major operation with over 1,000 employees that's been pumping out energy for decades.
Behind us, one of the only two active nuclear power reactors in the state of Connecticut.
That's correct. That's Unit 3 at Millstone in Waterford, Connecticut.
In a well-protected, thick concrete containment unit protecting against radiation, nuclear fission is created with the help of uranium pellets, about the size of small pebbles.
There's approximately 500,000 pellets inside the building right now, helping us make electricity.
Each one packing a head-spinning amount of power.
And if you can understand what one pellet equates to when it comes to energy,
you can equate that to 1 ton of coal.
Water from the Long Island Sound is critical to cooling the core. The reactor makes heat, transferred to huge generators, producing steam used in these massive turbines that is turned into electricity.
We produce the equivalent of 60% of what Connecticut uses in a year.
Making Millstone the largest generating station in New England. Producing all that power, people. Chris Chapman's team has the watch.
We come in through a number of different paths. A lot of guys are ex-Navy.
Training is thorough, walking through various emergency scenarios.
We take our jobs very seriously, and we stay alert and practice.
The future of nuclear energy is facing challenges. Competition from a growing solar market and low-cost natural gas pushing Millstone towards selling its energy in a more direct way.
Right now, the Connecticut legislature is looking at enabling legislation that would enable us to sell directly to the utilities.
As it works now, power is bought and sold, full of third-party markups along the way.
We want to cut out that middleman and enable consumers to benefit from that reduction in price.
And provide Connecticut residents what they're looking for: safe and affordable energy options. In Waterford, Scott McDonald, News 8.
Great.
A relentless, stabbing migraine, day 5.
All right, next spot in the back.
The only relief, Novocaine injections into my skull. The needle, nothing compared to the pulsating, throbbing agony.
You ready? I'm going to take a break.
A migraine is a debilitating disease, an attack on the brain and nervous system.
It's pain, it's nausea, it's dizziness, it's confusion, it's sensitivity to light or noise or smells or heat or any number of other things.
Well, of course, this election is just filled with issues.
It all started a year ago during a newscast. The right side of my face completely numb. No feeling in my right hand. My right eye blurry. The pain in my head so intense I could no longer think.
Migraine is one of the most common medical disorders on the face of the earth.
It's like someone drew a line right down my face and I can't feel anything from this side over. And the pressure is so strong on my head with this knife just jabbing right here.
I had not had a migraine until after my second baby, something the director of Yale Headache and Facial Pain, Dr. Gottschalk, says he sees all too often.
There seems to be a factor there that after your second or third pregnancy, that's even more likely to happen.
He says more research needs to be done on the connection between motherhood and migraines, but hormonal changes appear to be the reason why. So is it as simple as moms being stressed?
All the research that we've done on the idea that stress causes headache says, nope, that's really not what happens at all.
Alex, you can have apple.
45-year-old Jessica Hansen of Guilford has been battling migraines for 16 years.
It's a disease like any other disease, but it's invisible.
She's a part-time physician's assistant in New Haven, a full-time mom who experiences some form of head pain every single day.
Feels like a vice that's being tightened.
Her boys have learned when she's at her worst. She closes herself in a dark, silent room.
She kind of like stays alone.
It's really hard to talk to them about that. I do feel guilty a lot. I feel bad that my husband has to shoulder taking them to activities when I can't.
This is a look inside the brain when pain sets in. You can see the intensity of the pain in red spread like fire. The problem, no treatment works for every migraine, so migraine sufferers are left to try to find something that eases the pain. I've tried at least a dozen different drugs and treatments, even one that sends a shock to my brain.
It's basically like a small MRI. You hit the button on this thing and it delivers a quick pulse of magnetic energy to the surface of the brain. Hold it against the back of the head and pull up on those buttons, you'll hear a loud pop.
And it doesn't hurt?
Nope.
I felt that loud pop, but it wasn't painful. Did it help? Not immediately, but I did feel better the next day. Even with 40 million people who suffer, there is not a single medicine designed specifically to prevent and stop a migraine.
The sad part, in a way, there is that right now, all of those treatments that we have for prevention were discovered by accident. They were some person noticing that, gee, this blood pressure drug seems to help, or this seizure drug seems to do some good, or now Botox seems to help some people.
The good news this spring, for the first time, drugs specifically designed for preventing migraine attacks will be available.
The results of the trials that we're seeing and the studies that are going on now are terrifically exciting. So having a whole new type of treatment to offer people should, I think, open the door to looking at this problem a lot harder.
Pull. Nice.
Beth Collins is a woman who likes to stay on target. Skeet shooting is her hobby.
Oh!
A chance to blow off steam after a day in her doctor's coat working long hours as a plastic and reconstructive surgeon. Much of her work is with breast cancer patients, but everything changed a few months ago. The breast cancer doctor became a breast cancer patient.
You really don't expect it to be you, but kind of why not? 1 in 8 women in
the world will have breast cancer.
Dr. Collins admits she put her own health on the back burner. It had been 5 years since she had had a mammogram, and she was in no rush to get one. The 44-year-old says a phone call changed her life.
And it was Yale Radiology. And they were calling me to say, we have a prescription for your mammogram. Do you want to schedule right now? And since they had me on the phone, I said, okay, I'll schedule it.
That mammogram showed she had cancer in her right breast. But what she decided to do about it is what some say is extreme: bilateral mastectomy.
I removed both breasts and had an immediate reconstruction.
Today I'm 4 days after my mastectomies, both sides. And I'm feeling good. I'm just tired.
Breathing, a challenge in the pain of recovery.
It hurts a lot when you have this done. To take a deep breath, it feels like a tight chest. So the goal of this is to get this up to the top, and you have to force yourself to do it.
Dr. Collins insists her patients use a tool like this to avoid pneumonia and infection to breathe.
It's about the best I could do right now, but you have to keep working on it because it's very important to take deep breaths.
But she says she felt better quickly. This photo taken 2 weeks after her surgery and reconstruction. Dr. Collins was in a bikini and says she now looks better than ever.
I was at my mom's house and she has a swimming pool, and I put on a bathing suit and I took a picture. I said, look at this, it's better than it was before.
Double mastectomy. It's a controversial trend that breast specialists say they're seeing more and more in women in their 30s and 40s.
Doing a double mastectomy will have twice the complication rate. Doing surgery that isn't absolutely necessary for any medical reason. Part of a philosophy of whether you should do more or less, and many women would like to do the least amount that they have to do, and that would clearly be the lumpectomy. But you know, other women are more comfortable with the double mastectomy, and ultimately it's a personal choice.
The easier and less invasive option, a lumpectomy and radiation, or single mastectomy.
Doing a double mastectomy is like killing a fly with a sledgehammer. And that's true. It is a really aggressive treatment, surgical treatment, but you better be sure that fly is dead. And I like that.
Knocking it out is Dr. Collins' style. She wants women to make sure they explore all their options and be sure to get their yearly mammogram.
I was so bad about doing it. I don't want any other woman to be bad like I was.
Let's get right to our chief meteorologist, Gil Simmons. Gil.
On the air, on the go, and on scene, News 8 chief meteorologist Gil Simmons brings his A-plus game. But that energy and enthusiasm, not so public, since a health scare nearly a month ago.
You go from being probably the fittest of your life to struggling going up and down stairs. It's a rather upsetting wake-up.
It happened in the early morning hours of a day off. He woke up to a strange sensation.
But I think I slept crooked. I felt kind of tingly, a little numb.
His wife, Liz, rushed him to the nearest medical center.
I hate to even think about what some of the alternate outcomes could have been based on what doctors have told me. And I'll leave it at that point.
Doctors at Yale New Haven Hospital told him this.
It's very complicated, but the boiled down version is that some arteries got kinked in my neck. And before anyone in pencil or pen draws any conclusions, it's impossible to know when this damage actually happened, whether it was 24 hours prior, 24 days prior, 24 months prior. The bottom line, when I spoke to the doctor in my terms, as I like to be very honest and open, I said, look, this is a case of bad luck. And that's exactly what he said.
The damaged arteries caused a series of physical problems, from tingling to muscle weakness. Gil is working hard to regain strength and coordination, undergoing therapy at Gaylord Rehab Center.
All I want to do is be at work. I want to get back to being active, and I'm under very close supervision and strict rules as to what I can and cannot do. So I am getting better, but the progress is a little slower than I'd like, but things are moving in the right direction.
What do you want people to know as to when you may be able to come back?
I think it's tough to give an exact date at this point, but I just want people to know that I'm working hard to get back to work.
Back to co-workers and viewers in countless numbers. Gil is thankful for the prayers and support.
And I just want each and every one to know that it really makes a difference. It has kept me so elevated. I don't have time to think any other way.
Optimism and Gil, synonymous.
I'm tapping into unknown areas for optimism these days, but you know, I've always been optimistic based on knowing how it can be.
Jocelyn Mamenta, News 8.
American Idol is back, and it's coming right here to ABC. So earlier today, I ventured down to New York City to chat with the stars at the New York City audition. American Idol is back, and the lineup of judges is bringing star power to ABC.
Get down to the sound.
Music icon Lionel Richie has sold 100 million albums worldwide and will bring his songwriting mastery to the table for contestants. Joining Richie will be one of country music's biggest stars, Luke Bryan. He'll help Idol hopefuls light it up on stage. Oh, and rounding out the bunch, pop superstar Katy Perry. We caught up with the judges who were running around non-stop from auditions to public appearances. So you guys are on tour here, a lot of press here. How you guys staying awake? How are you keeping the energy going?
Wow, that was a good question, because did you know we were up last night to 12 o'clock and then up this morning at what, 4 or 5?
Yeah, we've only had about four hours of sleep.
Coffee is the,
that's the key?
I'm going to be a diva and demand a meditation right after this.
I just want a bed myself. I could take
wow, you just want a bed.
Little nap.
California King. That's what they don't tell you. Is you want to be a star, you want to be an American Idol, well, you're
Here's your schedule.
Really, really, really small.
Wow.
And on top of performing, you have to be stage ready.
And then you got to look like this.
Do it, Luke. Do it, Luke.
Oh, whoa,
man.
Steamy.
I'm carving to that face right now.
The trio met all for the first time at Perry's concert earlier this week.
Well, I was like a kid. I was taking it all in. You know, I don't have the opportunity to go to these huge pop shows.
Already, there's incredible synergy between the stars.
And it's like we're just old friends. Yeah. Like, honestly, there's no lies here. We're just already in it. We're cracking each other up, and it's the second day. It's like camp already.
From Madison Square Garden for American Idol, I'm Ryan Christopher, News 8.
Enriched my life tremendously. I'd go anywhere in the world and do anything for him. I think he'd do the same for me.
We talked about her signature red glasses. The simple story, the teleprompter was becoming fuzzy for her. So she picked up a cheap pair of glasses that happened to be red, and the rest is history.
Now, you come to hate them. And the reason is, if you've worked your whole life and you've studied and you've acted, I've done something like 52 movies, and I've done 3 Broadway shows. You work, and I've done Shakespeare. To be known for red glasses, you know, what's that about?
We spoke to Sally at her sprawling 53-room Queen Anne Manor in Pawling, New York. Elmwood was built in 1743. She and her husband, Carl, bought it about 20 years ago. It's a museum for all the things they have collected in their travels around the world. They bought the place sight unseen because of its expansive porch. They soon found out that it would need a ton of restoration. Sally, now 82, loves having her house full of people. You never know who might show up for lunch. The more, the merrier.
I'll tell you a secret. It's kind of strange. I developed a hobby quite a few years ago. And the hobby is that I appear in small, teeny little roles in films under another name.
She built an empire as the First Lady of Daytime Talk, preceding Oprah by several years. The show came to an end when she was in her late 60s. The company kept the Maury Povich Show and Jerry Springer. In her words, they got rid of the girl.
Were you ready to say goodbye when they said goodbye to you?
No, I was not. I also think there was another mitigating circumstance, and that was that I had developed cancer, and I was stupid enough to tell the boss Not that I wanted any time off or anything. In fact, I went for chemo, this is now 15 years ago. I went for chemo at 6 in the morning and arrived on the set at 8:30 and never missed a day. But I believe that that was part of, well, she's sick, we better let her go.
Sally beat the cancer.
The knife in the chest was having to go to the people who worked with me and tell them that the show was not going on. That hurt a lot. I was never interested in being noticed. I wouldn't go someplace to be seen. I did like working, and I do like working, and I miss work.
He was the chain-smoking, fast-driving, big-hearted man who brought the magic of television to Connecticut. Aldo Di Domenicis came here from Italy in 1920 when he was just 16 in search of a better life. And despite his third-grade education, what a life he made. Aldo sold pasta to Italian markets around New Haven. Then he started buying radio time during Italian shows on WELI radio and sold that too.
He would go out and sell the advertisement along with the olive oil and the pasta and so on. That was his package.
And it worked. When WELI did away with its Italian programming, Aldo started his own radio station. WNHC Radio was born in Hartford. But Uncle Aldo's broadcast dream didn't stop there. And his nephews Dante and Enzo had a front row seat.
He had a vision. He felt that TV was the upcoming thing.
Travelers had a $3 million budget to start this radio with picture. And these big shots of Travelers figured nobody's going to sit down and watch radio on a TV screen.
Aldo did it. He convinced the Dumont Television Network to give him the equipment to start a station for almost nothing, on the promise they would sell a bunch of TVs here in Connecticut. On June 15, 1948, WNHC TV Channel 6 went on the air in New Haven. It was the first and only TV station in Connecticut. Every network fought every night to get its shows on Aldo's air.
He would get phone calls. ABC, oh, Aldo, would you carry our program tonight? Or CBS, no, wait a minute, I have the fight going, so I promised that I would carry the fight.
Uncle Aldo was a shrewd businessman and a good guy, and he had his quirks. He liked to drive fast, so fast he had his license taken away for a while. When he smoked, he would stick his cigarette to his upper lip, and it would flap like that when he talked. And he loved to watch this beloved television station upside down.
He used to watch TV laying down, looking upside down, like this. He was to look up.
Why?
I don't know. He liked that.
Aldo sold his beloved station in 1956 for the unheard of sum of $5.4 million. Aldo died in 1989, but he's still at work here. The Aldo Di Domenicis Foundation has donated more than $2 million, focusing on poverty, the arts, and education.
He wanted to be a Yale professor, but he couldn't spell.
$35,000 was the 35 soup kitchens in the areas. Each soup kitchen gets $1,000.
His nephews say even though Aldo didn't like being on TV, this proud Italian would be happy we are celebrating the mark he left on this American state he loved so much.